What is a leasehold, and what are some of the positives and negatives of a leasehold from your vantage point?
Well, yeah, it's a good question, and it's a leasehold's a unique type of ownership. So it means you own the right to use the property for a fixed period of time. You don't have any ownership interest in the unit or the land, say with a typical freehold type of ownership. Um, so so when a buyer purchases a leasehold property, they're purchasing the remaining term of that lease, and it's always a finite period of time. Be 50 years, 99-year leases are common. Um, so they're, and I don't deal with them too often, but they do pop up from time to time. They're they're often, I guess, generally speaking, considered inferior investments to freehold in the long run, because at the end of the lease, there's the value of the investment is essentially nil, usually. Um, However, leasehold properties, they're typically priced more favorably too, right? And you may have a buyer that's where they don't have a lot of money and they're not concerned about the length of term on the lease. Maybe they're an elderly client, and they don't care about having an asset at the end of the day. They're not concerned about the legacy. So it could be the right move for them.
So is the lease contract between uh, the landowner and the building owner?
So usually you have a lease between the landowner, a head lease, and the landlord. And then you have a sublease between the landlord and the buyer of the leasehold property.
Okay.
And when these leasehold properties get transferred, you're essentially assigning that sublease, but the head lease remains intact for whatever the term remaining on that lease is. You know,
Okay. So if the lease is between the landlord and the landowner, and that lease, let's say, is 99 years, and there's 5 years remaining on this lease, assuming this happens, at the end, someone decides to purchase a unit in that building, and they have a 25-year amortization. That lease is going to be up in 5 years. What happens? Does the owner of the unit have to negotiate that sublease with the landlord, or
it, it would be the landlord negotiating with the owner for, and maybe the lease contemplates some sort of renewal provision, right? But that's the risk. I mean, there's no guarantee that the lease is going to be renewed, which could leave the sub lessor, say the buyer, in a bit of a predicament where they don't have a property at the end of the term. And good luck
interesting?
financing that one with 5 years left on the lease.